Where are you joining us from?
I'm from Aruba.
Aruba. All right.
Yes. It
Very
is my
nice.
second day of the summer vacation, and
Oh, second day of summer vacation. Very nice.
I usually take the summer vacations to get myself some knowledge
Yes.
after giving out knowledge 10 months in the year. I try to get my own knowledge during the summer vacations. And I
Well,
think last year I did a bit of the flip. I don't remember if it was last year or 2 years ago.
well, I
But
tell you what, if you're anything like me, the last 2 years have run together pretty thoroughly. Because we oh my goodness, you go from normal class, and then of course here in the US we went right to the hybrid model at the end of 2 years ago, and then we're off and on all of last year. So what a mess. Now, what was your experience over the last 12 to 18 months with pandemic and teaching and classroom? Were you in the classroom the whole time, or
at the
did you guys
beginning of
have to
the
take
pandemic,
breaks?
in March, we went into fully online.
Oh,
We
fully
started off
online.
with fully online, and then at the maybe like a month or two after that, we went into um, no, we didn't go to hybrid yet. We went into hybrid at the beginning of last school year. So
Yes.
from September on, we started with the hybrid, and we had hybrid the entire year. Um, yeah, we've had like 50% face to face and 50% online.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, the plan is to go back to school. We'll have some distancing in class because our classes are not that small, but we are going to try to implement um, learning or blended learning, asynchronous teaching, etc.
Well, very good. So you're going to try to take some of the lessons learned this past year and try to move them forward as you go back to more of a traditional schedule face to face.
Face to face, yes. Because
Okay.
they didn't really like the online classes. They wanted to be in school.
Say again, your audio broke up.
I said the students didn't really like the online
Ah,
classes
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
They wanted to be in school, and which I think is something really strange because when they're in
Yes,
school, they don't want to be.
exactly. Yeah, because
They
kids
wanted.
kids kids don't want to be in school. Oh, school is awful. School is awful. Well, be online then, totally. And they're like, oh, we don't like this either. Yeah, it was a very strange thing to hear, and a very strange place to be.
We miss school. That's what they would say. We miss school. We miss being in school. And I say, oh yeah. And then when you're in school, you don't want to do anything, and it's boring.
Well, and I think when our students come back full days, as we transition back into a more traditional schedule, I think the first things out of their mouths are going to be, this is really long. This is really like, why do we have to be here so much? Because they had shortened, hybrid days, and it's going to be interesting. What do you teach? What level? What content?
I teach at a community college.
Oh, okay.
Uh, I teach economics. No, I teach at the economics unit, and I teach English.
Oh, well, there we
I
go.
teach English.
There we go. I am a high school math teacher, but then I teach for 20 years. I have taught at the community college, um, different levels of math at the community college, and
Mhm.
it's been a very rewarding second job to have, because some of the knuckleheads that we're happy to be rid of at the high school level, they go out and they get some work and they get a little more maturity, and they all of a sudden decide, oh, wait, this education thing isn't as bad as I made it out to be in high school, and they grow up a little bit. And it's nice to see at the community college level them blossom and move forward.
Yes, that's the same experience we have. Some of them really come into school as if, they came straight from kindergarten. They just skipped high school and primary, and they just ended up at our school. They don't
Yep.
know how to sit still. They don't know how to behave. And then, okay, they go to their internship, and they come back totally changed. They see
Yeah.
the value of an education.
Well,
And that is actually like a reward
and I
for
I
us,
don't
for
know
me
if you
then.
have I don't know if you have the same experience, but we have a mix of ages at our community college. Traditional college students, but also older adults adding to their education. And that mix of age groups really benefits those younger kids because they get a little more experience. I don't have to keep saying, hey, this is going to matter in life. Many of the others in the classroom are like, yeah, that's why I'm back here, you know? So it makes a big difference.
My experience, my experience with the older students in class with the younger ones, they help set a standard. The
Yes.
older ones
Yes.
and the younger kids feel, okay, I need to reach that standard.
Yes.
And that
Absolutely.
is very beneficial for everybody, for the teachers, for the students, for all of us, having
Well,
older students in class.
and I think, when you're the only adult in the room, sometimes they doubt the one opinion. But when you have multiple people going, well, yeah, I have two kids and two jobs, and I'm here to make my life better. And that's a real testimony to some of the others that are maybe not taking it quite as seriously yet. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you teach economics. You said you did some flipping. And remember, flipping is a very broad topic. So there's no right or wrong way necessarily. What was some of your experiences with it?
The flipping that I did may have been like 3 years ago. I tried it out the first period of the year. I teach English at the
Hmm.
economics unit. Yeah, I don't teach
Yep.
economics. I teach
Oh,
English.
yes, English.
So
Gotcha.
basically, what I basically flipped was, for instance, we have the kids coming from the high school. I do at the first period we do a revision of the tenses, etc. Right?
Yes.
So I flipped that. So I give them a video with some assignments, and still we had the book work to do because that was my problem. Because then I was feeling I wasn't flipping anything
Yeah.
because I would let them do the video at home with a few assignments to make sure that they did go through it. And in class, I would still go through the book material. But I think what I have to do is, um, uh, for instance, don't really follow the book all the way, but look for the essence of
Yeah.
what they have to learn in that period.
Yeah, and I think that's a very common experience. Is the first thing that we like to do is we like to take whatever we did traditionally and then we make that a video, but then we wonder what in the world are we to do in the class time because I did some of this stuff in the video. And one of the best ways that to think about flipping is I like that you started with like some of the review and some of the going through the tenses, some of the vocabulary stuff, the basic skill stuff, the review components. Those are great things to move over into those videos, to those assignments like you said, put those outside of the classroom so that that opens space inside your classroom to say, okay, we reviewed a little bit about these things. Here's where students always have trouble. I'm not going to talk about the review pieces. I'm going to talk about here's where kids get in trouble. Here's what I keep seeing that's wrong. Here's some of the things that maybe I can help you with now that we're together to further explain some of those things that you just reviewed. Let's put it to use in the classroom so that the classroom takes on less review, less vocabulary, less basic skills, more how to apply, where's the trouble, that kind of mentality. Does that seem like something that makes sense to you?
Yes, it seems to me now that I'm looking back at what I did, that I'll have to do that to avoid having them flip at home and then turn and in school, then do the same thing again when we're face to face.
Right. And
So I have to.
that's yeah, and I think that but that's that is such a common thing. I've done the same thing. I'm like, why am I doing it twice? The answer is not their problem. It's my mindset that I need to say,
Yeah.
I don't need to do it twice. They did it once. What do I need to do now that helps them move forward, especially in a topic like English or math where there's so much to talk about? We don't have time to do stuff twice. We want to make sure that we're making more space here to do better jobs of the things that everybody needs to be doing together rather than the stuff they can do by themselves at home. So that's kind of one way to think about it, but that's a very common experience.
The flip learning. If I was trying to explain it to a colleague of mine, I told her that you could look at it as a type of pedagogy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of teaching. It's kind of like a didactic.
Yes.
The way you present the material and the way it is absorbed or taken in by the students.
Yeah.
But like for instance, for myself, we're old school. Where, for instance, can I get maybe a course or get myself maybe certified in this so that I can feel more secure in what I'm doing?
Oh, okay. Good. All right. That is a good question. That is a good question. I'm going to open a chat window here so I can drop a couple things into the chat window. We actually, the Flip Learning Network is who's putting this conference on. We're a nonprofit. We're a community of learners. But one of the things we have is we are actually putting together a class, like a for free how-to on how to like an online series about how to flip.
Yes.
So that you can kind of get a good overview from a variety of topics, a variety of content areas, etc. So that is something that's coming. So keep your eye on the same social media here, or keep it on fliplearning.org. Fliplearning.org. That's where I'll put that over here. That's where we will be putting more information. But I can also hook you up here real quick with a series that we've done previously that's less of a class, more of a series of posts. Here we go. Digital classroom. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Come on, little buddy. My internet has been working hard today. All right, here we go. This is what I want. Um, so there are a lot of resources over at fliplearning.com, but here's one I think that you might find super helpful. Now, when you go back in the will you go back in the fall? Is that traditionally when you go back as well?
Start in mid-August.
Mid-August.
We have
So
6 weeks.
so that'd be a very similar schedule to the US then. There we go.
You got in the US, they go into summer vacation at the end of May, right?
Yep. Or beginning of June. Yep.
And
Then we head back mid-August.
mid-August. Okay, I thought it was September.
Well, it depends. Different parts. A lot of the urban districts don't go back until beginning of September because they run a slightly different schedule.
Okay.
There it is. Okay. Here we go. I'm putting in the chat. This is a whole series. You can see the chat down there, the link I just put in.
Yes.
Yeah. That will link you to an entire series that we did. In fact, it's a series that I put together. That kind of goes all the way through getting started with the digital classroom, kind of moving from digital to tech and moving all the way forward with moving your class into a digital age, and how to make some videos, some of the hardware you can use. But another one that you might want to look at specifically about flipped learning in and of itself, there we go, would be this one here. So these are basically video series that you can go through at your own pace if you would like. So the different definition of flip, and then kind of taking a case study and trying to put it to work. Another at Lisa Poss. If you have Twitter, do you have Twitter?
Yes, I have Twitter.
Because some people are on Twitter, some people aren't on Twitter, and some people are more Facebook people, But if you follow at Lisa Poss on Twitter, she is a great English teacher, and she would also be a really great resource on specifics for like the English classroom at the high school or the community college level. So that would be a good person to follow on Twitter if you're interested.
I'll have enough to do for the next 5 weeks.
I was going to say there's probably a lot of people to follow. Yeah. And there's probably a lot of stuff to look at. And the good news is you can kind of just peruse it and decide, this is not what I want to do. Oh, I want to go do more of this over here. You can kind of pick and choose what really suits you. And I think that's one of the things that we want to drive home, is that it's what suits you. What part would be really useful for you? Do that part. You don't have to do exactly as everybody else does, And I think that's part of the joy of the process. Is there a particular question or a particular thing I could help you out with?
in the not in this the previous session, but one earlier, I asked. I think it was one of the ladies. I forgot her name. If there are, like, for instance, okay, you just told me you don't have to do it precisely as everybody does it.
Mhm.
You have to find what fits for you.
Correct.
Like, for instance, are there lesson plans available for the different subjects?
Normally, no. And the reason there's not normally lesson plans available is because the real question, it's that mindset, as you mentioned, it's that pedagogy. Look, it doesn't determine your content. It determines by you what's the best content to move over here in that independent student space, and what content has to stay in that group classroom space. What about what you already do works best and can be moved over here? What has to be done in the classroom? So it's a very individualized process. Does that make sense?
Correct. Yes, it does.
And I don't know, did you hear Aaron
So the
Sams
beginning,
this morning?
yes, but rethinking teaching, rethinking learning, rethinking how we can best use the time that we have,
That's it.
if I
That's
can
that is exactly
say it
it.
that way. He
But
said those three things. It's
yeah,
rethinking.
and the other thing that I always love about that is, he said he's kind of flipped learning is not what he does anymore, which is funny because he's literally the guy that wrote the book. If you look up flipped learning on Amazon, he and John Bergman will come up as the first responses. That's who that is. So it's funny when he says he's not, and it's not so much that he no longer appreciates the flip learning. It's just that it opened the doors for the other pedagogies that he's found that fit what he wants to do best, you know.
Okay.
So I always like that about Aaron, is that it opened the door. And that's what I found as a flipped learner, is it just opened doors for me to reflect and say, well, why do I do it this way? Why do I have to do it this way? If I, what would work better? And it's been a process. I've been flipping since 2012, and it's been a learning process the whole time.
Definitely a learn as you go.
That's it, it very much is. And a lot of times the reason for that is because there's just so much that you need to take what you do and figure out what works in your classroom with your kids. And so often that's what we complain about as teachers, is we're told to do this or told to do that, and you're like, well, that doesn't work in my classroom, you know and that's because it's not really fitting your classroom. But flip learning is pretty flexible. It's really just a matter of deciding, what do I need to do? What do the students need to take responsibility for? Hopefully, as we're looking toward the 7 o'clock period, we're going to kind of have a social hour where we're going to break out into different smaller groups, so that hopefully more people can have an opportunity to talk with each other. And so hopefully you will join us for that. That should be on the schedule.
Yeah.
That should be on schedule. There, I just also put another link to another blog series that, if you kind of want to walk through getting started. But on the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to try to just get to know people. Where are we from? Because there's a lot of folks from the Philippines this year. I'm not sure how we became so integrated in the Philippines, but it's interesting because in some
They've been
ways.
busy all year long.
What's that?
They've been busy all year long.
Yeah.
The Philippines with all kind of webinars and all kind of seminars. They've been really
Really?
busy.
Well, and it's amazing because some things, like Aaron showed his path, and like Carolina said in her thing, she's like, Aaron may be over here, but as in Colombia, they're more like in here. And everybody's in a different spot. And I think there's something to be learned from. There's not a right way, or like you need to get to a certain level. It's more a matter of where are you at and what part is helpful to you